Okay, intro take 2. Hi everyone, I'm Bruna. Welcome back to Making My Music Great Again, Making My Old Music Great Again. I can't even remember what the title of my own series is. Great. Yes, I've got tea. I've always got tea. It's a different tea. And I also have new glasses that actually work. Well, they don't work anymore, do they? We're going through 2 tracks again today, like always. Destroyer, which is the full name, and Starlight, which is not. They're both old, arguably. Starlight definitely is. That was one of the first songs I ever made. Destroyer, however, was originally a part 3 to an old song. But because it's been very recently separated out, I don't know if you can still class it as being old or whether that's new, but I guess it doesn't really matter. That's where we're starting. So this is the original code for Destroyer. It looks mostly alright, to be honest. You can see I'm actually using sync calls here. This is where the first big change is. Because you can, this isn't coded particularly nicely, although I didn't actually change that in the end, I'm not really sure why. You can see I've got this loop, which is just sending out cues. This is something I do when I live code, which actually isn't something I've really talked about all that much on this channel. Let me know if you want me to talk about that. Sam Aaron, obviously the creator of Sonic Pi, is one who does a lot of live coding. He does live coding live streams on his Patreon, so if you want to know more about live coding from him, then I will put some links in the description. I can also do some stuff on how I personally do it as well, because me and him don't code in anything like the same way, as you'll know if you have seen the examples in Sonic Pi or have seen his code. So if you want me personally to do some stuff on live code, let me know, because I'm happy to do that. But getting back to the point, we have this whole loop that's just cues, which syncs to everything else. And when I was trying to make song structure that was a bit more complicated, because this actually has song structure as is, you'll be able to tell if I actually play this. Hang on, I'll set this recording this time so you can actually hear it. So when I was making my song structure, because of all of these cues, this is all actually incredibly fixed because of this being separate to these cue loops are trying to effectively sync to this pitch knit, which is a really cumbersome way of doing it, and it actually makes it a complete pain to try and edit. So what I ended up doing was having all the cues just in with the drums, which makes the drums look horrendous, to be fair. And this isn't nice to look at all. A pitch knit is much more desirable. This is the problem with using cue and sync calls in general, is that you end up having to do stuff like this for song structure. I'm sure there are ways around it that I don't know, to be honest, because it's not something I experiment with, because I've always had to do stuff like this and I don't like it because it doesn't look nice, but it is much easier to read than the solution I had before, and it means I don't have to have a loop just dedicated to cues, which is a pain, and it means this is much easier to control as well. So the synths I actually just didn't change. This loop hasn't changed at all, even though it probably should. I could just have done that with a cut-off ring, and I should, because it would be much easier. But this song is actually incredibly simple. It's just drums, the bass loop that's going constantly, and then the odd loop pops in and out. So you've got the super saws that are on the sort of A section, these D-pulse synth, which is on the B section, and then this sour synth. And then I did actually add an extra section when I transitioned, which is this one here, which is pitch -1. The reason I did that was because I built an intro, which I didn't have, with it just being part 3 originally. And I also built an outro. As you can see, I just made it say hi when the outro queued, because I was having a bit of a nightmare of a time debugging it for whatever reason. so I made it say hi. But yeah, this intro sounds pretty sick, so I just want to share that real quick. And you can see I've got a pitch nit on the intro, and it ends on pitch -1. And I wanted to end on -1 just because I thought it sounded good. So having the sort of throwback to that in the main song structure, I think the outro is on pitch -1 as well. So that's about that for Destroyer. Bit of a weird change up because it's changed, also hasn't. It's just a very strange one, which I thought would be cool to talk about. Going on to Starlight. I posted on my social media a long time ago that part 4 of the series was going to be crazy because I was going to use Starlight, and the transformation this song has gone through is just crazy. It's really crazy. I guess originally it was made to be commercial. I can't even say that with a straight face. It's not, but it was intended to be, and it nearly made it onto the Listening to Life EP. I am so glad it didn't because it sounds so much better now. But it nearly did over Just Dance already, so as you can tell, it's a dance track. Let's start with the original code for part 1, which is this. Another case of cue and sync calls. Don't use a sync and a sleep, because as you can hear, that's completely out of time. So, Starlight has gone a bit nuts with this. We got functions defined, talked about that more in previous episodes. This code ended up just being an intro because the later parts are a bit faster, so I couldn't really throw it back very easily. But the difference in sound design is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, it's a sort of journey from when I originally made it to how I am now. It's nuts. And I've actually more than, doubled the number of loops in this piece. It's easier if you just hear it. New loop, double the kick drum. It's already completely different. Come back to that drum loop. Now bring in these treble loops. I've added in an extra one, obviously, and I've changed the settings on the synth. It is the same synth, it's still Blade, but the settings have changed a little bit to make it sound a bit nicer. The original, just straight kick, 4 on the floor, has dropped out. That actually wasn't deliberate when I was coding this. It just did that, and I thought, oh, actually, that sounds pretty good. I'm gonna keep that. So then this is the new version of part 2. This is the original version of part 2. Obviously this one you can hear the similarities a lot more. Part 1, it's very, very different, particularly the ending of it. It's, you can tell, but it's not easy. Then part 3, original code is horrendous looking, but it sounds like this. So as you can see, we got this sort of knit ring thing again with the panning. I actually just ended up making that into a pan slicer, so it does sound slightly different, but pan slicers are just what I'm comfortable using, and I'm not going to talk about pan slicers again. You all know by now how much I love the pan slicer in Sonic Pie. I talk about it all the time. I also actually took this cymbal loop out, which is interesting, but this is what part 3 sounds like now. actually changed the pan synth from a triangle wave to blade to kind of keep in keeping with the rest of the piece a bit better. It sort of worked originally because the sort of default triangle, default blade. Back to part 2. I am seriously proud of that transition, I'm just saying. But default triangle, default blade sort of mixed together quite nicely, but because I ended up changing the blade presets to make it just sound a bit nicer, it didn't really gel particularly well, a bit better for consistency. Now, I mentioned a drum loop that I wanted to come back to, so let's go back to it. It is this one here. It's also in part 1 a little bit slower, which is where I actually pointed it out in the first place. I'm going to take the cutoff filter off. So for those of you who can read Sonic Pi code, which is probably all of you, and for sample spotters out there who aren't looking at the code because it's a nightmare to look at, which is fair enough, you can tell that this is actually the amen break, first bar of it. It's like the first 2 kicks of the first bar of the amen break. It's slowed down, sure, but that's what it is. This actually comes from Surfing on the Brainwave. Yep, I took a drum loop from a completely different song because I just didn't like the just 4 on the floor thing I had going. In part 3 I had Loop Industrial going, which is, as I'm sure you know, one of my favourite drum breaks. I'm sure I've talked about that before as well. It's in everything pretty much. Really great drum break to have. Comes default with Sonic Pi, it's really good. It's from Free Sound as well. It's easy to find. It just felt a bit too basic for what I do now, where I often will combine like 3 to 7 sometimes drum loops. I do kind of crazy stuff with percussion now. This is a bit of a work in progress. As you can see, this is pretty complicated. I've actually used the same chords for this, but this is sort of more this kind of thing I do now with percussion. So having just the 4 on the floor felt really, really basic. I didn't like it. So adding in the kicks from the amen break, I thought was really cool. That's about all that for the revamps, but we've got a lot to talk about. Allow me to take a sip of tea to build your anticipation. Alright, so I have been talking about, I'm pretty sure since episode 2, maybe even episode 1, a new album, because people have been asking me for it, which is awesome, by the way. I really, really appreciate you guys asking me about new material. It means a lot to me. And there's actually been a ton of progress since the last episode. Last episode I said there was a ton of progress, but there's been even more progress since then, which is actually, it's mostly graphic design, to be entirely honest. That's almost entirely graphic design. But I'm really happy with what I've got so far, so that's cool. There is still an absolute ton to do. The amount of work that you have to put in to release an album is crazy. Aside from the music and artwork, which is something that takes a lot of time, obviously, there is a lot that I still need to do that is really time consuming, like coming up with a YouTube schedule for the album promo and all of that. There's all sorts that I still need to do, so it's gonna be a while. I don't know when, but I don't think that's going to be a thing this year. But, however, there is a release that could come this year, which is a collaboration with DJ Diamond, which I know for a fact I've talked about before. I don't know in how much detail. I'm not really sure why this hasn't been released yet, because it's actually been done for quite a long time now. We have all the artwork done, all the music done, pretty much everything is ready to go. We've teased this on Instagram a couple of times. It looks really cool. That will hopefully be releasing sooner rather than later. Again, I can't guarantee you anything. I'm pretty sure that's going to be happening pretty soon. But the absolute biggest thing I want to talk about, this is like super ambitious, no idea when this is going to be happening, is to do with my good friend Jade Black. She is releasing her debut album, Incident, on Saturday the 16th of May. Links will be in the description for that if it's out yet. It's gonna be crazy good, seriously. She's got 2 singles out already, which are Napalm and Poison. The music video for Poison is nuts. The music video for Napalm is nuts. It's absolutely crazy. Check her out, it's gonna be awesome. But the main reason I want to check her out, I have plans, I've talked about this before as well, to do a full album remix. I'm not entirely sure what that means, what that is, what that looks like, how that's going to work or what. She's up for the idea, she has no idea what it is either, because obviously I don't. In terms of doing that, I know that I at least want to do a behind the scenes how I did it kind of video. There's going to be something like this, but not really. I was thinking, however, I have no idea if this is going to be possible, so don't get your hopes up too high, because I have no idea if this is going to work. But if you guys are interested, I am thinking I could do at least some of it on a live stream. It's just a thought. I don't really know how it would work. It would probably be you seeing a screen capture plus hearing my voice. I don't think I would be able to get myself in the video as well as you being able to see what was actually going on, which is probably more what you're interested in rather than me just going on a computer screen for like however long. So yeah, that's a project that would be split probably over more than one audio workstation. I have made tracks in Logic. That was how I did the Race to the Sun remix, and more notably perhaps the Waveforms EP was all done in Logic with the man called Dave and the Velocity Fuse guys and Sam Thompson. Thanks for watching. I have no idea how to end my video, because I never do. I never ever plan this. I mean, you know what, I'm going to actually show my script, because I've only actually done this for this series. This is my outro that I've got. I don't even usually do that, I never know what to do, so I guess I'm gonna cut here.